Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you guys are at. Hope you have a fantastic day. It's SoulSaint here, and I want to talk to you guys about some news. The Explorer Deck of Fate event is up and running. As of tomorrow, it's going to be up and running, excuse me. How do we feel about it? Well, we're on the tail end of an event that just recently happened for the Fusion. If those of you guys that have been following along, you got Strategos. We should be pretty much rounding that one out. I didn't follow through. That's why you haven't seen a lot of content revolving around them. I have a decent amount of provokers and champions that do what Strategos does, maybe even slightly better to some degree. So he was less of a importance for my account. So I decided to focus on other content that you'll probably see in the YouTube videos not too long afterwards that benefited my account a little bit slightly better, for lack of better words. So I was looking at this and I read it, and basically what's going to happen is that starting tomorrow on the 12th, or at the time of the video being replicated, September 12th to Saturday, September 16th, we're going to have the Deck of Fate. I'm not big on Deck of Fate, I'm not going to lie, although there have been a couple ones that had some pretty good rewards. Now, that's the thing, rewards, right? So how are we going to get them? First, you're going to have to basically earn points by upgrading artifacts and champions. So it sounds like champ training plus artifact enhancement mixed together, and that's what you got. Then you'll get those points, and you'll convert those into flipping some cards, and those cards will give you some rewards, right? And I believe if you get a certain amount of cards in the same order, you'll get an additional reward. So if you get like 3 rares, 3 uncommon, 3 epics, and you'll get the same thing. You'll get something amongst the pool. Excuse me. Now, they did kind of express that like on this adventurous expedition, you'll have the unique chance to earn the following artifacts. So, Killstroke, Divine Speed, Defiant, Righteous. And it seems to be that's going to be the main thing across the board for all of them, except for Mythical. And that's where it kind of got me a little interested. They're going to basically give you Killstroke, Righteous, and Cruel. I was like, okay, well, Mythical is kind of, it kind of raises the eyeball a little bit. Like gives me the eyebrow a little raise a little bit. And I'm like, well, depending on how they do this is going to be a really good thing or it's going to be a really bad thing. And the way I look at it is that with hard dungeons being somewhat relatively new in the context of Raid's lifespan so far, for players that are progressing from like an early, mid, even late game, trying to get closer to that step of like basically being comparable to a end-game player, the difference at this point is going to be, besides champions and blessings and all those other things you could do, it's going to be that gear, that ever-revolving door of gear, like, finding that next better piece, right? And Mythical is a great way to just jump. Forget the legendaries, forget all the 6-star epics. You get that 6-star mythical piece, and it's like, boom. You got that that pre-rolled substat that just goes up a little bit extra. It gives you maybe, especially if you quad roll it, it's like considered a 5 roll or a quinto roll, whatever they call it. I don't know what 5 is, but that's the thing that could give you the extra edge over your opponent, right? So like mythical gear and the ability to farm mythical gear is a great jumping point into injecting yourself to a higher tier of standard when it comes to your gear, right? And I thought that would be a great thing to help players across the board. Now, it also means that those in-game players also have access to it, so keep that in mind, right? Now, with that being said, they also added some glyphs. Now, for me, my luck is atrocious, so the more I can get, the better. And this is where I'm kind of excited a little bit. They're giving you precision glyphs. Accuracy is always a thing, particularly for, like, if we're looking at some in-game champions that are, like, still used in various content. Mithrala, her resistance scales off of accuracy, so the higher accuracy she has, the better. Great. W. Speed. Everybody needs it, so that's a no-brainer. And then resistance, which has become a lot more important for my account as I transition from mid to late and now late to end. And I'm noticing that like the value of that, particularly in like content like Hydra, which has gone up with Clash, resistance has become a lot more of a value, because the more effective you are at resisting mischief, taking your buffs, the more benefit. Like, it's just great. You can look at my Hydra class or my Hydra head breakdown videos, and you can kind of see why resistance becomes more of an important factor. And of course they tell you about like these events after they end, any unused card points or fate points will be converted to silver, which, okay, cool, at least you're getting something out of it, right? And then that they won't apply to any type of missions that are currently active. So how do I feel about this? I feel like the timing's interesting. If it's only going to give us chances at gear and glyphs, I feel like that's a little bit weaker. If there's no like shards, there's no books in particular. One of the best Deck of Fate events that I had was one where like the card flips themselves actually had like Lego books that you can acquire, and that made me like, okay, I'm gonna make an effort to find that one. And once I found the Lego books, like, okay, I'm done, I can move on. Whereas like in Other Deck of Fates is like, well, the best you're gonna get is like an Epic Tomb, and it's like, well, I got legendaries I need to bring up. You know, where's those books at? And the only way you get them is if you hit the multiple rarity cards being flipped in the same in consecutive order. And I was like, well, that's a little bit unlikely. And even though I got lucky a couple times and I did roll a couple, I still didn't get a Lego book. I got like maybe an ancient shard, which still may have value for your account depending where you're at. But you know, like getting that RNG aspect is it. So I look at Deck of Fates a little bit as a negative in a sense. And I'm not entirely sure how I feel about this one in particular. We'll see. If there's a lot of mythic gear that's maybe 5-star, 6-star, and it lands me good stats, then, you know, who knows? Maybe, sure, I'll take it. You know, we need better gear, right? But if that's all, you know, I feel like this is one of those things that's kind of interesting. Now, mind you, this is going to happen during CBC, so there's a double overlap here where there's value. And that's where it's like, okay, now you got a W for me, Plarium. I like that. Speaking of overlapping events, we are also going to have a 10x for not only Duchess but Siffy, and this kind of hurts because if you've been following me along in terms of like my live streams and whatnot, I recently said that for the month of September I'm just not gonna pull any shards. I'm gonna hold true, and I'm not basically it's a no pull September for SoulSaint. Now you don't have to follow along with that and do it yourself. But I thought this was a great way to kind of like give my account a break from like doing stuff, maybe prioritize some of the existing champions I have and bring those up and basically improve the quality of my account via what I do have, not what I don't have, you know? And I will admit, for those that are on the lookout, Duchess and Siffy for that matter, particularly, they're both very, very strong. They are top-end support champions. So should you pull? That question is always going to be asked, and the best way that I can answer it for most players is, well, one, define where you are in your game. Like, where are you at, your state of progression? I did a video on that kind of talked about it. A lot of times when it comes to pulling shards in general, I normally don't advise players to go for 10x events because I feel like they're a scam. Even with pulling them at this point in time, if you were to pull a yellow, even outside of a 2x window, the chances of you getting that 10x champion is still technically not likely, you know what I mean? Because the pool is so diverse. I feel like Plarium could do better now with maybe, since our champion opportunity, the champion pool for people to pull with ancients or sacreds are so expansive. I mean, we got over 700 champions in the game now, that 10x is not going to be enough of a rating to maybe likely swing in favor of you getting this particular champion. So you know, maybe a 20x, a 30x, something along those lines that maybe would be a little bit more likely, would like the chances are a little bit better, would justify players getting, you know, pulling their shards for it, right? So that's already a negative when it comes to 10x's by themselves. Number two, depending on where you're at in the count in your account, do you have the luxury of being able to focus for specific champions, or does your account benefit from getting overall quality of champions better, right? So I always talk about like 2x's for early game accounts are probably the best place to pull from, because even if you do get epics are still useful for you in your account at this point in time. You know, you want to improve your chances of getting those instead of those rares that may or may not be valuable for you, right? So improving your chances, of even if you don't get the best of the best, you're still getting something that's decent for your account. 2x's have value there. Whereas like on the other side of the spectrum, when you're in game, you're looking for a particular champion. So if you are in game and you're looking for that Siffy, you're looking for that Duchess, go for it. You know, as long as you got either the Mercy or the means to acquire a crap ton of shards, whether that's you know, credit card Sama, or you've been stockpiling, you know what I mean? Those are both ways you can do it. That would be my rationale about whether or not you should do it. Now, anyone in between is going to really take a conscious evaluation of your account to kind of know where you are, and it's going to be on a case-by-case basis, and I would definitely advise that most players really do take in consideration the health of their account. Are you in need of things right now? If the case is like, yeah, I can barely do anything, save for 2x. If you're like, well, to be honest with you, I'm kind of doing all right by my, like, as I am right now, I'm looking to maybe push into PvP, or maybe to spruce up my Hydra, which I consider a little bit more of a later game type of experience because of the requirements you need to basically fundamentally do that content. Then yeah, maybe a Duchess Lutulu maybe on the horizon for you, right? The same thing is also true for Siffy, right? Siffy's also a top tier champion that's used and across the board. Now, this is the hard part for me, is because like I said, no pull September, but Siffy is one of the champions that would change my account right now in terms of my in-game content that I'm looking to get closer towards. I have a couple of defensive nukers that I use. Matter of fact, I still use defensive nukers even though I have a Duchess but not a Siffy. because she provides not only block buffs, increased speed, and turn meter boost, she requires that increased defense. So it's one step closer for like my Ragash instead of having to A1 to build up his self buff for increased defense, so that when he does his A2, he slams. I can just go straight into it and just start really causing disruption, start doing damage pressure onto my team, and maybe even, you know, winning from just a raw damage standpoint. She's just a strong support champion in general, and you know, I don't think you need me to break down her kit. She's a great partner with one of the most, you know, top-end nukers in the game, which is Rotos. Like, very, very strong, right? Now, the difference between the two in terms of pools is that, like, the amount of other champions in the pool, like, so non-void affinity and then void affinity, those pools are actually very different, right? There's a lot less voids than there are non-void affinities. So you still have to worry about, even if you're pulling for, like, Duchess, for example, you still have to worry about Force affinity legendary champions. You still have to worry about Spirit and other magic champions that are in play, too. Whereas, like, void, that size is so much smaller because, like, there's not that many void legendaries, right? So keep that in mind when you're pulling your shards, and use wisdom with what you are based off the assessment of your account. But that is also happening during Tuesday and Wednesday. So this is all happening during CBC, which I believe they announced before, and we're going to double check here, is going to be a non-personal reward CBC, which is a nice break from the last two that we had. We had two back-to-back PR CBCs. So, do we go ham here when we pull shards? I think the answer is going to be based on your account. Do we go ham and we farm accessories or artifacts and level up champions? Well, in the middle of a CBC window, I think that answer is a little bit more leaning towards yes. As always, do what's best for your account in terms of, like, you know, based off your conscious assessment. Maybe leveling is more important right now because you need to get more 6 stars, or maybe you got enough 6 stars, but they're all in mediocre gear, so maybe farming for those extra accessories. A lot of in-game players just pretty much sit in Spider, since it's the most fastest place to farm points. And, you know, the value is not too bad. You get extra silver. Like, Spider's the best place for silver. But you wanna do it based off of whatever your account needs are. They did add recently, you know, Sand Devils and Shoguns and all that stuff like that to the area of bonuses that you can get some extra stuff. So like, I would use non-PR CBCs, depending on what clan you're in, as a way to get, like, extra value out of, you know, farming for those things that you didn't have time for before. So this is also a great time frame for you to start expending, like, your books. I always save my books for CBC, so I get my points that way. I got a couple champions on my to-do list that I'm going to be bringing up. Amongst them is going to be, I believe, Sun Wukong is going to be in this rotation, so hopefully I can get his A2 and his A3 booked as efficiently as I can. And then, you know, maybe if we have anything left over, we can book into his A1 or something like that. I'm not entirely sure, but the goal is to finish off a couple champions and start bringing them up, and then, of course, you know, seeing your account health go up overall. So I hope this does help you well. I hope you guys are looking forward to these next couple days. Are you pulling? If not, why not? And if so, why? You know, definitely let me know in the comments below. And with that being said, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe on this video. Definitely help us out. I want to give a special nod to everybody that's been helping us out. We are on our way to the YouTube partnership program. We've overtaken the 500 sub count goal, which I want to give you guys a special thank you for. I did a video for us in terms of pulling a bunch of shards as a thank you, as a celebration for it. But also, we are a little bit behind on the watch hours, so if there's any videos that you guys haven't taken a look at that you've been wanting to watch, definitely give those a view. You know, help us catch up to that watch hour requirement, and we'll do a big, I got something big special if we can get to that goal within October. So I hope this all finds you guys well. With that being said, always remember, stay ascended.